So there's a lot of people out there missing the big patterns of what's going on out there in American society. We're kind of returning to a gilded age, as they used to call it about 100 years ago. We're going to talk about that today and how you should prepare for this. If you play all your cards right, you should be able to get what you paid into, what you're eligible for, to help you, your family, and friends. But that's the key nowadays, is you really have to be informed and you really have to keep at it. So I'm going to help. We do this on a daily basis. We help people throughout the country make sure they get all the benefits they paid for and all of the programs. We're talking Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, the Affordable Care Act, and all of them. And all of these programs, it's going to be far more difficult going forward to get those benefits. And it's not because the system is broken, it's being designed this way. So we'll talk exactly about this. A lot of this is based on the One Big Beautiful Bill, and this is a live Q&A. I've already got a bunch of live questions already. I've got some video questions I'm going to get to on all things Social Security, retirement, Medicare, Medicaid, and everything. But if you disagree, please, if you disagree, I love people disagreeing. That means if you disagree and you prove your point, that means I was wrong about something and I've learned something. I love learning things. So I included the full text for the One Big Beautiful Bill in the description of my YouTube description. So definitely read through that. You can run it through any AI. If you don't want to read the hundreds of pages, you can run it through any AI, Grok or ChatGPT or something like that, and confirm exactly what we're talking about today. And if you find anything different, please let me know. Okay, so here's what we got going here. We've got trillions of dollars for the rich, and the rest of us, we're asked to tighten our belts. We don't mind, if you come from a poor family like I do, we have tightened our belts before, and that's fine if it's for the greater good. Wars, my family, one side or the other served all the way back to the Revolution, the Civil War, Vietnam, the Korean War, World War II. I was an old Marine Corps sergeant, so we've got no problem tightening our belts if it's for a worthy purpose, taking care of protecting the country or taking care of the most vulnerable upon it, amongst us. But now we're asked to tighten our belts, so the trillions can go to the top. And this is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. So the One Big Beautiful Bill, again, it's in my YouTube description. Definitely go through there and confirm everything, please. But we've got permanent tax cuts for the rich. Yes, tax cuts are going to be going to everybody, but every analysis out there that you can see, let me pull up a couple. I always like to provide receipts here. So the Congressional Budget Office, so if you're in the lowest, you're actually going to be losing money after the One Big Beautiful Bill. Second, and money goes to the highest income group. And this is the Congressional Budget Office, and we've got the same exact thing. Even worse, actually. This is a Yale study. Let me get this out of here. Get that. This is a Yale study that also includes that extra sales tax, aka tariffs. There's 3 or 4 people out there that still believe that China pays for the tariffs. No, they don't pay for the tariffs. Importers pay for the tariffs, and they pass that on to us. So if you take tariffs into consideration, and we were told by the powers that be, don't look at the final number at the cash register when you're at the grocery store. Don't worry about that. That's fake numbers. Prices are coming down, electricity is coming down, gas is coming down, prices at the grocery store are coming down. So when you're checking out at the grocery store, don't believe that. It's all fake. Obviously, yeah, we know the reality. So tariffs are bringing prices up considerably, and we are also going to be losing, particularly those people that are vulnerable out there are going to be losing help that they traditionally had. And that's what our mission, our community's mission is to make sure you get that help that we provide people that need help. Okay, so trillions for the rich, permanent tax cuts. Do we get some tax cuts on our side? No taxes on tips. The current administration keeps repeating that there's no taxes on Social Security. And I've got a video question that I'll play later that someone says, hey, I heard there's no taxes on Social Security, so the taxes I paid on Social Security, will I get it back? No, because the no taxes on Social Security was a campaign promise. Guess what? Politicians make campaign promises and they don't come through. The only thing that the taxes on Social Security is they gave a little deductible. So $6,000 if you're single, $12,000 if you're married. So if you're making $100,000, then and you're single, you subtract $6,000 from that. That's it. But if you're paying taxes on Social Security, then you're paying taxes on Social Security. Nothing has changed. We've also got a lot of estate tax loopholes where the super rich can pass money on to their kids for free. Very, very, low taxes. And I don't think there's any work requirements for those kids. So if you receive any type of the Affordable Care Act or food stamps or anything like that, we expect you to go out there and volunteer and work. But if you get a bunch of free money from your mom or dad, then yeah, there's no work requirements there. So interesting. Deregulation. We see a massive deregulation bonanza, and we all hate the government. It's a necessary evil. We need regulations. Regulations, there's good regulations and there are bad regulations, but sometimes we need regulations. Corporations hate regulations. They don't want anybody in their business. Environmental regulations to take care of our safety, make sure we're not ripped off. Corporations hate regulations. They just want to do whatever they want to do, Wild West. And so they're kind of getting that, a bunch of deregulations. Defense contractors, ICE contractors are getting a phenomenal amount of money. A lot of these programs, there is an attempt, Medicare Advantage plans are already kind of privatized Medicare. There's attempts out there to make Medicare Advantage kind of the default option. We see privatization of computer systems. Social Security is trying to go into a system. They've got AI in there. So a lot of private companies are coming in there and taking over the job, taking over our security from our duly elected representatives, and our duly elected representatives are essentially giving those up. So we see a lot of privatization. And we've got $40 billion for Argentina after we've cut, USAID, all those countries out there that were, sick children, starving, and we decided to cut that off because we don't want money going to foreign countries. But then we decided to give $40 billion to Argentina to affect the election there. And then we've got the Golden Ballroom, talk about, optics. To be fair, I'm kind of a history buff. Presidents have changed the White House. That I don't have an issue with that. Tearing down the entire East Wing, that's a whole different situation. But if you're going to tear it down in this time when so many people out there are starving, so many people out there are hungry, so many people out there are homeless, veterans included, golden ballrooms so the rich and powerful can hobnob with each other, probably not the best thing. If you're going to tear down the East Wing, build a bunch of offices there for homeless vets and seniors and, something to get something done rather than, yeah. And one of the things, the untold stories, I think that are going to come out in a few years is all the insider crypto and market trading. I think that's going to, there's some exposure out there right now, but I think that's really going to hit in the future. Okay, so what are we asked to tighten our belts? Again, get some tax cuts, but most of those are temporary, only for a few years. Social Security cuts, if you're new to my channel, your checks, if you're getting Social Security benefits, you're going to get the full check for 87 more months. And then the 88th month, as of right now, 23% cut across the board if we don't do anything. And we haven't done anything for 40 years. Politicians have failed to do anything for 40 years. So we need to get up and get something done. Medicaid cuts, Medicare cuts, the Affordable Care Act. This is for the Medicare, for Medicaid, and the Affordable Care Act is the reason the government is shut down right now. You've got one party saying, hey, we can't take that many cuts in Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. People are going to be losing their health insurance. So that's the reason it's not given, because it's given to undocumented immigrants. That's Medicaid. Before I worked for Social Security, I work for the Department of Social Services doing Medicaid. They are not eligible for Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, period, end of story. So SNAP benefits, food stamps are being cut, Section 8 housing, entire HUD budget is cut by about 43%. And one of the things that we are doing here is trying to help people navigate the bureaucracy, all of that, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, SNAP, all the rest of it, because the help that civil servants who served the civil, people, they're being cut. Social Security has lost close to 7,000, perhaps over 7,000 people since the beginning of the year, and they were already at a 50-year low. And these are the people who are supposed to help you get your benefits, get the right check at the right time. And unfortunately, they're just not there. And this goes across the board at Medicare, Medicaid, and other places. So that's one of the reasons we do this channel, to help you all get your benefits. And then the ballooning deficit. And we know, because they're giving all these tax cuts to the super wealthy and the big corporations, then deficits are a result of it. And who fills the bill? The last time Wall Street decided to go to Vegas in 2008, who paid for it? Guess what? Yeah. So there's trickle-down economics for you there, right? And we're being replaced by AI and robots. So I think Amazon just announced that they're going to let go or not hire 600,000 people, because they're going to be using AI and robots in their factories or their warehouses from now on. So we're going to see a lot of displacement there with AI. A lot of corporations have already decided not to hire people because they think they can do things with AI. And it turns out the AI is not really working, but they've already made the profit, so who cares? It's the same exact thing that's going on with the Social Security Administration. They said, no, we don't need to hire people to answer the phone because we got AI answering it. Yeah, try that. If you get some people get lucky. Say, Ed, you're telling a story here. I called and I didn't have an issue. Okay, beautiful. I watched Brad Pitt and he's got a beautiful head of hair. That doesn't apply to all of us. So sometimes you get lucky, but there's a lot of people out there. I did a video the other day and it talks about all the different programs, and AI just doesn't deal with that. So, and then tariffs, we're getting tariffs. And speaking of the tariffs, that I'm not sure whether the trickle down of the tariffs affected the COLA. That's going to be interesting to see, because we're going to see the COLA announcement. They said they're going to announce it, I believe, tomorrow. COLA is determined by what the prices are at the third quarter of this year, which ended September 30th, compared to the third quarter of last year in 2024. So that's how they determine the COLA, is based on the increase of a basket of goods. So we're going to be interested to see. I don't think the tariff sales taxes, essentially is what they are, have trickled down enough by September to give us a high COLA, but it's going to be interesting. We're going to keep an eye on that. As soon as it comes out, we will announce it. So tighten our belts, everyone. This is kind of our new reality here for a while. And so you help getting all your what you paid into is going to be very, very difficult. So we're gonna make sure you get your help. And then we've got my website, mygovexpert.com. It gets into all details about all things Social Security. Check it out. It's all free there. We do one-on-one appointments. I've got a former retired Social Security. She knows everything. And she does one-on-one appointments, but everything else is 100% free. So if you've got any questions on a retirement, disability, or anything like that. And our brand new website is finally out. 24help.org. So if you need help, you can help. It's just right now, this is kind of a beta testing for you early people out there. Check it out. There's some bugs we've already found in it, that this link doesn't work and stuff like that. But we need y'all to start putting information in there. Tell us about food banks, places that people can volunteer, places, if people need help, make sure you join one of the discussions and say, hey, I'm in Topeka, Kansas, and I'm having a hard time dealing with the local food stamp place. I'm having a hard time with Medicaid. I'm having a hard time with my continuing disability review. And this is a place, a non-toxic environment that people can go to get help and crowdsource that help. So we are community throughout there, the country, helping other people. So make sure you check that out. Okay. And then let me know if there's any issues. This is definitely a work in progress, but this is our website. Can a 40-year-old single man qualify for SSI? Absolutely. His job outsourced, now homeless, used all his savings. Who would he call for help? All right, Donna. Yes, Donna. So I guess this is not you. So Donna is our first hero of the day, looking out for other people around her. Thank you, Donna. You are too awesome. So you have found someone that is homeless, 40 years old, who, is having a hard time, and you've done the right thing by, seeing if you can help. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Absolutely. SSI, because he's 40 years old, he's obviously not entitled to, retirement benefits or survivor benefits or anything like that. But 40 years old, if he's disabled, SSI and SSDI, those are both disability programs. Actually, SSI goes one step further. SSI is supplemental security income. It's a welfare-based program for those people that are disabled, or if you're 65 and older, if you have low income, low resources, you can qualify for SSI. The most you can get on SSI this year is $967. So if he is, he'd have to be disabled in order to get that, to get SSI under 65. And then let's see how else you can help. Obviously, if he's homeless, definitely go to the local welfare office, Department of Social Services, whatever you call it in your particular state. And let me pull up mygovexpert.com here, click on living on Social Security alone. So this is the SSI. We already talked about that one. Definitely the SNAP benefits. The SNAP benefits are going to be cut back. A lot of different hurdles that people are going to be having to jump through to get SNAP, which is the food stamps. But definitely get them set up on that one. Unfortunately, housing, Section 8 housing has already been, a 2-year wait. But with Section 8 HUD, the Housing and Urban Development, getting a 43% budget cut, it's going to be far, far, far more difficult. And they're talking about a 2-year maximum receiving your Section 8. There's going to be exemptions there, but yeah, there's going to be a lot more homeless people out there, unfortunately. And Donna, I wish I could tell you that there's more out there, but definitely if he's disabled, tell him to file for SSI. Contact Social Security. They will have him apply for both SSI and SSDI based on his work record. They'll apply for both disability programs, and whichever one he's eligible for, they'll go forward with it. Department of Social Services, get him some food stamps so he's got some food, put him on the Section 8 housing list. Sometimes they have like pocket vouchers that, someplace opened up. We've got a regular person that shows up on our channel that talks about go to new developments where they're building new apartments or something like that. And sometimes, the city or the state requires them to build, a certain percentage low income housing. So definitely check those out. But thank you, Donna. Let us know how it goes if you're able to get anything for them. But yeah, I wish there was more out there for people that just need a leg up for a little bit. Should it be any cuts on services to the seniors, giving them a break? Yes, 100%. All you have to do is call back, especially this time of day. Yeah, I think I saw some of the questions earlier. Our sponsor of this chapter, they are crazy busy. So many people out there, and this is one of the things that I talk about. There are things out there that you paid for, that you're entitled to, that you're eligible for, or Social Security, Medicare, and all the rest of it. But from now on, you just have to fight for it a little bit harder. And some people have to fight way, way harder. And one of those is if you sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan, there's going to be a lot more hurdles of those going forward. It looks like they've already got prior authorization, so you have to fight for those. And chapter, so a lot of people are calling chapter because they like that after service where chapter is in your corner. They better be. If they're not, give me a call. But they're doing a phenomenal job. But they're crazy busy right now, just as everybody else. It's just the first, 10 days of the annual enrollment period. So if you're having a lot of people are having a hard time contacting chapter, they're open. Monday through Friday, 8 to 10, East Coast time, 9 to 9 on Saturday and Sunday. So they're open right now. Give them a call. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but it's definitely worth the wait. But if you can't get in, then email me at ed@mygovexpert.com and I'll make sure they reach out to you. But you have until December 7th. Please don't wait till that final week because it's going to be a nightmare again. And your new plan will start January 1st. So let's see. Project 2025 and Russell Vogt, who is head of Office of Management and Budget. Yes. And that's some people I'm sure said, no, they're not cutting Medicare. And that is incorrect. Let me find my slide here. So it's called PAYGO. And basically PAYGO is a law that had passed a couple of decades ago that says, hey, Congress, if y'all are incompetent enough to, pass a law that causes a whole bunch of debt, you got to find it someplace else. So the one beautiful bill causes trillions of dollars of debt, and they try to make up for it by cutting, benefits for the vulnerable. But they couldn't find enough there. They couldn't get enough blood out of that turnip. So they caused debt. So the law kicks in and it says, okay, if you do that, the PAYGO law says if you cause all that debt, then you have to find offset somewhere else. And who gets to find those offsets? Russell Vogt for the Office of Management and Budget. And he can't, according to the law, he can't take the money out of Social Security and he can't take the money out of Veterans Affairs. The only other big one there, the third one, is Medicare. So we're looking at over a little over $500 billion of cuts to Medicare. And so that's going to hurt a lot of people. So diminished services, to lower pay to doctors and hospitals that take Medicare. So it's going to just work its way through the system, unfortunately. So Daniel, Dr. Weir, adult son disability from birth, filed for DAC, which is disabled adult child benefits. When son gets Medicare, will receive Medicaid also, Pickle Act. Will Medicare premium get paid? Also, how will his resource limits work? Okay, good questions. So disabled adult child benefits, getting benefits off of, I assume, Daniel's, because Daniel's receiving retirement benefits or disability benefits, or there's another parent that is, or parent passed away. But the child is receiving disabled adult child benefits because he became disabled before the age of 22, and he can receive those benefits his entire life. And then because he's receiving DAC benefits, he's eligible for Medicare after being on disabled adult child benefits for 24 months. But he's already on Medicaid, so that's fine. Millions of people are on Medicare and Medicaid. So if he's on the higher levels of Medicaid, there's the QMB and the SlimB and the QI. If he's on the higher levels of Medicaid, depends on his state, then yes, Medicaid, the state will pay for his Part B premium, the $185. So please, everybody else out there, if you're new to my channel, we always have new people that we've got a great community here and they know their stuff. And that's one of the reasons we built the site 24help.org, is because, I do this an hour a day and I answer a bunch of questions, but there's always another 1,000 questions people have every day. And I just, don't have, it's just me. But we've got thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people out there that really know their stuff because they join us every day and they've been joining us every day for months. And so we needed a platform so they could help other people all the time. So 24 Help, to help for help, to help other people and for help yourself 24/7. So 24 hours a day. So I'm surprised that that website address was open, but 24help.org. So, and if you have any issues with it, again, it's still in kind of beta here. So please, please, please. So if Medicaid pays, anybody else out there, if you got someone, if you know something, if you are struggling to pay that $185 a month, the Medicare Part B premium, and we don't know what it's going to be yet for 2026, probably $200 and something or so. If you know anybody struggling to pay that and could really use that extra couple of $100, tell them to reach out to the state Medicaid office, whatever they call Medicaid in your office. It's all Medicaid, but some states call it different, and apply for Medicaid. And if they approve you at the higher levels, then they will pay for your Part B, and that'll put an extra couple hundred, and then it covers a lot of the extra stuff as well. And then if there's one available in your area, you can get a Medicare Advantage dual eligible plan. Make sure you check out everything. But if you're on Medicaid, you can't. That's the only thing you can get is a Medicare Advantage. You can't get a Medicare supplement plan. So you can get one of those, and that covers a lot. And there just might be someone in the early questions before we started asked about those cards, because it is the annual enrollment period, and there's a lot of people, a lot of companies out there, health insurance companies, doing the advertising for, oh, you get a grocery card, click this button and give us your information, and you might be able to get a grocery card that's, $1,200 a year or $2,400 a year. I think I can't find the question here, but anyway, but yeah, that they do these things every year, all year actually. And do those cards exist? Yes. Grocery card, over-the-counter cards. The program, the main program that has provided those up until now is going away December 31st. There's another older program that's a lot more hoops to jump through to get it. And often the amount you can get is less. I've seen other people say, no, in my particular area, it actually is a little bit more. So it might be a little bit more than what you're getting for 2025. Or maybe in 2025, you were just and you picked the wrong plan last year. So there's that as well. So, all right. I added a whole bunch of other questions into your answer, Daniel. I apologize, but I want to make sure, I answer your question, but we also get information out there for everybody else. Resource limits. So for DAC benefits, there are no resource limits for DAC benefits for Social Security, because he's not receiving SSI. The only resource limits you have for Social Security is if you're receiving SSI, Supplemental Security Income, the welfare-based program. Well, I guess, and also the extra help with prescription drugs. But the Medicaid, there are resource limits on that, and it really depends on your particular state. I know for California, they had no resource limits. There was an income limit, but not necessarily a resource limit. But now they are introducing a resource limit for Medicaid. So it really depends on your particular state. But for DAC, there is no resource limit. So, Emperor Palpatine, I'm forecasted to only get $43,000 per year, according to my Social Security statement. Do you have any info to get it bumped up? Number one thing is make sure your earnings record is correct. Set up a Social Security account, go into SSA.gov, set up a My Social Security, and look at your earnings record. And what you're really looking for is the major thing that people have a mistake is they have a gap year. So let's say you look at your earnings record and you're like, hey, I worked in 1990, but it showed zero earnings. I worked the exact same place in 89 and 88 and 91 and 92, but for some reason, that one year it says zero. That means somewhere along the line, usually it is, they just typed your Social Security number wrong in 1990, somewhere, your tax accountant, the IRS, Social Security, somewhere. And then your earnings for that year are in what's called a suspense file. They're just out there. So you just have to go down there, raise your hand and say, yep, that's me. And usually how it works out is They look at it and you say, I just worked at the same place the year before and the year after, and they look at your EIN, your employer identification number, and they say, oh, okay, yep, yeah, okay, here it is. We just see it. Yeah, it's got your name and it's got the amount you said. It's, got everything, and just the social security number, the last two are, transposed or something. And then if, then they put it in your record and they recalculate your benefits, and then you're set. So other than that, yeah, to increase your benefits is to continue working. If you're 65, 75, 85, 95 years old, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you continue working and continue to pay into Social Security, and that's one of your high 35 years of earnings, then your benefits will go up. So let's see here. And then obviously the COLA increase, which if they announce tomorrow, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Jake had helped me last week with chapter, very professional. Great. Thank you for letting me know. Yes, any place I recommend, my son and I keep an eye on them, and but chapter's doing a phenomenal job. A friend is starting her Social Security early at 62 instead of full retirement age, but she has an ACA plan that is ending because of subsidies being cut. Not old enough for Medicare, hoping she can find another Affordable Care Act plan. Yeah, people, oh, the subsidies are a terrible thing. Well, then everything's going to be so expensive. The original plan was to have mandates. Everybody has to buy health insurance, and that brings prices down for everybody, just like car insurance, life insurance, every insurance. It's a pooled risk. But they decided not to have mandates because they wanted to kill the Affordable Care Act, and John McCain did his famous thing, and so they couldn't kill it that way, so they decided to make it so crazy expensive. And they're doing a phenomenal job. So I think this is going to be my new mantra. The system is not broken. It's designed this way. Politicians design it way. So that's my new mantra going forward. I have to make one of the little thingies up here. It's not broken. It's designed this way. Retired veteran, thank you for your service. Receiving Social Security disability and enrolled in Part B. If eligible, will contact chapter and enroll in an Advantage plan. Paying Part B for several years now. Thank you. Okay, so if you're a retired veteran, like me, I was 8 years in the Marine Corps, but not retired, even though 8 years in the Marine Corps is like 20 years in all of the services, but I won't go there. But if you're receiving TRICARE, then you don't need to contact chapter. Because you have Medicare Part A and Part B, and you have TRICARE, so you're good. That's kind of your TRICARE is your Medicare supplement plan, and you're not paying for it. You paid for it for all those hundreds of miles you ran. Anyway, but if you mean you are a veteran who is not receiving TRICARE because you actually didn't retire or disability retirement, you're just like me, just served however many years and got out. And you are receiving help from the VA, then yeah, you need to contact someone that's going to help you out. Chapter, I recommend. In your area, because probably, yeah, you've been paying for Part B, so that's one thing I would recommend. But you want to reduce your Part B monthly payment, and there are plans out there. A lot of them are directed specifically to a Medicare Advantage plan because you use the VA predominantly, and they have Patriot plan. They're called Patriot plans or Honor plans, and there might be one available in your area, and it just might pay for part of your Part B premium. So $50, $100, $185, whatever the case may be, and that way you can use the VA, but you've also got a fallback, and you're not losing too much money on your Part B. So it's a win-win-win situation. So let's see. I'm getting errors posting stuff on the new website. I cannot post a reply to a question about SNAP benefits. Okay. Yeah, I sent it off to my computer guy today. People are having a hard time doing the feedback. Some people weren't able to do say, hey, this is working, or whatever the case may be. So I've got my guy checking out on that. So errors posting stuff in there. I cannot post a reply to a question about SNAP benefits. What state? Let me know what state, or send me an email, please, or a screenshot or something like that, ed@mygovexpert.com, and I'll get my guy on it. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's see. He's planning on rebuilding his White House to stay there forever. It's our White House. Yeah. So, yeah, that's I've got no problem with construction. Construction has been going on in the White House forever, never. Truman, gutted the entire gutted pretty much everything in 1940s or so, and to update everything. But yeah, they said the square footage of the new ballroom is going to be 90,000 square feet, and which is twice the White House itself. So that's just, yeah, let them eat cake. And I know for those historic purists out there, Marie Antoinette technically didn't say let them eat cake, but nor did George Washington, cherry tree. But it's a story we tell ourselves about ourselves. That's what myths are. They're stories we tell ourselves about ourselves. And that's a let them eat cake is a good story we tell. Might not be historically accurate, but anyway. I referred 2 employees to chapter from my job who turned 65 to apply for their Medicare. Our employer has less than 20 employees and doesn't cover you after 65. Okay, yes. So Layla knows the lay of the land. If you have health insurance from current work, yours or your spouse's current work, actually working and receiving health insurance from that work, and that employer has 20 or more employees, then you do not have to sign up for Medicare Part A, Part B, the prescription drug plan, a Medicare supplement plan, none of that if you don't want to. You can check it out and see if it might be a good idea. But if you don't have that creditable coverage, then yes, you have to sign up for Part A and Part B and then, get something to cover all the gaps. Because if you don't, then you're going to have a penalty for the rest of your life. So asking for $300 million now. Yeah, and the whole thing about private funding, it's if you ask me, that's BS. It's okay, private funding, but $300 million for a ballroom that I don't think is necessary in this climate, in this environment. So I mean, even if it's for private, you've used that for better purposes, then yeah. But anyway. When was the last time they raised the cap? I heard it used to be 160,000. What year was that? Yeah, it was a couple of years ago. I played a video because there's a video out there of Warren Buffett. It's an AI generated deep fake video. So I played an actual one, him talking about Social Security, and it was 2005. And he had mentioned that the cap in 2005 was about $90,000. So the cap raises a little bit every year, but not a whole heck of a lot. So 2005 was about 90,000. That was 20 years ago, and now it's 176,100. So yeah, it's not raised very much. It should be no cap, right? And that way we can make sure then we don't get cut in the future. So. Inheritance money is taxed. I'd like to help someone in need. It would help me out. Yeah, it really depends. Yeah, I don't, I never worked for the IRS, so I'm not going to give, but yes, estate taxes are taxed, but there's a lot of loopholes in there that, putting in a trust and all this other kind of stuff. If you got money, it's easy to get out of taxation. Yeah. Dee Dee, thank you, Dr. Ed. You're doing a great job. Thank you. And y'all are doing an awesome job as well, getting the word out there. TP, to anyone in the chat, is it true whether you are retired, SSDI, SSI, the SSA now has the authority to access your personal bank account whenever they want? No. The SSI part is true. Cute little picture there, TP. So yeah, there's things out there on social media that, yeah, Social Security is looking at your account on everything now. And that might be the IRS or some other agency, but Social Security, no. It was just it was about a month or so ago. Social Security changed the threshold for those people receiving SSI, supplemental security income, the welfare-based program, before they wouldn't really look at your bank accounts if it was under like $400 or so, and they said that was kind of a stupid thing, so they just took that threshold out. But if you apply for SSI, which is the welfare-based benefit, part of the application process, I know this because I've taken a few 100,000 of those, is, okay, you're going to be receiving taxpayer money. SSI does not come from the Social Security Trust Fund. It comes from regular taxes. And we, as a people, have no problem giving you this money up to $967 because you're disabled or you're 65 and older and you're struggling, you have low income, low resources. But as part of that, your part of that is you tell us if you win the lottery or if you get $1 billion from, a long lost uncle and stuff like that, or you get some money when you sell a house or whatever the case may be. And just to make sure, that you give us authorization to check your bank accounts and stuff like that. So if someone says, no, I don't want you, then your SSI is denied. So anybody who's receiving SSI has authorized Social Security to check to make sure they don't get overpaid. That is just for SSI, supplemental security income. If you're receiving retirement benefits, SSDI, which is Social Security Disability Insurance, survivor benefits, any of that, no. Social Security doesn't check your bank accounts and stuff. Obviously, they deposit money in there, but that, depositing money into your bank account is not the same as checking your balance and all that kind of stuff. I can't speak to the IRS about the IRS, what they do. And what the scary thing is, the Commissioner of Social Security, Frank Bisignano, Social Security is his part-time Uber job, I guess, is his weekend job, because he wasn't reassigned. He was given another job as the CEO of the IRS. So the guys in charge of Social Security is also in charge of kind of the daily IRS. That has never, ever, ever happened. The job they gave him at the IRS is a brand new job, the CEO of the IRS. That's a brand new made up job. So that's scary. But that's a whole different thing than, what you're talking about. So random life things. When does Part B payment deductions begin for January? Got to make sure my bank account has the amount. Yeah, Part B usually takes out a month before. So in December. So when the new numbers come out for Medicare Part B and the COLA and substantial gainful activity and the early trigger month, all those numbers, when it comes out for 2026, I'll do a video on that. I'm sure everybody will do a video on that, and they'll just say COLA for 2026 is X amount, and they don't know how any of it works, and so they'll probably just end up there, but we give you all the rest of it. Can you qualify for SSDI at 24 years old? Absolutely. With SSDI, normally for retirement benefits or anything like that, you need to pay it into the Social Security for 10 years, 40 quarters. But if you become disabled early, then yeah, you don't need obviously 10 years because you're just 24. So yes, absolutely. So when schedule an appointment, you can use a lawyer if you want to. For the first initial, I don't think you need one for the first. If you want one, go for it. But you can do it online or schedule an appointment, but start the process immediately. Start the process immediately. Social Security defines disability as the inability to work, and your disability is going to last 12 months or longer or end in death. So start the benefits early, because right now it's taking on average 6 to 9 months, if you're lucky, to get your benefits started. So the sooner you start your process, the better. So let's see here. Joined at very end of VA comments. Have VA at 62. Do I have to join Medicare at 65? You're a veteran, so you know this. You don't have to do anything in life, but the repercussions are X, Y, and Z. So one vet to another. When you turn 65, if you have veterans benefits, you use the VA hospital and you're 100% happy with them and you know it's never going to change, You're never going to move. The VA hospital is not going to close. They're not going to suffer, budget cutbacks. They're not going to be shut down or anything like that. If you know everything's going to be perfect for the rest of your existence, then no, you don't need Part B. But if you change your mind or something happens in the future and then you sign up for Part B and then Part D, which if you got VA, the prescription drug program at the VA is a lot better than pretty much anywhere else. But Part B, you're penalized 10% for every 12 months you did not have Medicare. So if everything is good and you're happy with the VA when you turn 65 and you're like, I don't want to waste $185 or $285 or whatever it is at that time, then you don't enroll in it. And then at 70, if you need a second opinion or you move or something happens to that VA facility, then you have to come back to Medicare and you can't sign up until January, February, March, and then you're going to pay a penalty for the rest of your life. So there's that. Let's see. Jane, keep hearing about 561 for overpayments. Have underpaid situation on deceased hubby's last Social Security check repayment when finally released. Been trying for 4 months to get the rest of the final check shorted over $250. Yeah, the 561 is the kind of the do-all. It's a request for reconsideration. So if you have any issue, overpayment, underpayment, denial, whatever, the 561 is a request for reconsideration. That is, hey, you made a decision, but in this case right here, the decision is already made that the money's going to be released. It's just the issue is they're not doing it. So it doesn't sound like you're asking them to reconsider anything. You're just asking them to do their damn job. Excuse my French. So on anything like this, because the system is not broken, it's designed this way, right? Okay, my new mantra. Who's in charge of your local Social Security office? Your federal politicians, your 2 senators and your congressperson. They're the ones that have designed that system that way to put up all those hurdles so you can't get the benefits you're eligible for, entitled to, paid into. So one of the options is to reach out to them and say, it becomes what's called a congressional. You reach out to them, you tell them I'm having an issue, I need that money, and they reach out to the headquarters of Social Security in Baltimore, and the proverbial feces run downhill to your local office, and they will get it going. So, okay, let's see here. My probation period ends in April because I became 65 last April. Do I have anything in this period now? My probation period, I'm not sure what that means. Probation, because I became 65 last April. Yeah, criminal probation, you did something, you're on, yeah, that doesn't affect Social Security. If you're thrown in jail and you're convicted and thrown in jail, then your Social Security benefits stop. So not sure. Yeah. Give me a little bit more detail on that, Jose, and I'll be able to help you out. Scam spending card. It's not really a scam. The way they advertise it, I agree with you, Jeanette. It is scammy the way they advertise. It was even worse before. Well, I haven't seen what's going on in the rest of the country, but, before they used to have, football players and starship captains and everybody, oh, there's this card and, you can get all this extra stuff. And they did the same commercial for the entire country. And then when you called it, they say, oh, sorry, it's not available in your area. And then they do the hard sell and they try to sell you something else and then never stop harassing you for the rest of your life. But those cards do exist, 100% guaranteed they do exist. A lot of people here have those cards. But whether they have them for 2026, that's a whole different issue. I've seen some that have gone away, some that's been reduced by half. There's a few people that said they actually started getting a little bit more money. So yeah, they do exist. But I agree with you. The way people out there advertise it is not good. MAGA now stands for Make Argentina Great Again. Jennifer, What's up, Jennifer? Welcome back. I found extra copies of my marriage and divorce. I now have a telephone appointment 9/18 for divorce benefits. Thank you, Lord, and everyone here. All right, Jennifer, yes. So I think you were having an issue finding your marriage and divorce, and but remember, anybody in this situation, if they're saying, yeah, I'd like to file for spouse benefits or surviving spouse benefits or disability benefits, but let me go ahead and get my paperwork all set up. Let me find this, I have a doctor's appointment. Let me wait till I see that and I'll get my x-ray and that way I can have that. Or I need to get my marriage certificate first, or I need to get my divorce certificate first. No, 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 no. Call, schedule an appointment, because the day you call, you're protected for benefits for that month. So if you want to start benefits this month and it takes you 2 or 3 or 4 months to get all that documentation, you can go back to the month you called. That is your protected month. So, and then like Jennifer, it's like, okay, hopefully she called, her first called in October, and then she started finding her stuff, and luckily she found her marriage and divorce decree. But if the appointment came up on not November 18th and Jennifer, you still hadn't found it, don't sweat it. Just keep the appointment and then tell them you might not even need the marriage certificate. If your ex already filed and already attested to it and everything, they just might be able to use that as evidence. But yeah, if your appointment comes up on November 18th and it turns out that, oh yeah, I couldn't find it. Don't cancel it. Keep the appointment, because the Social Security employee will tell you, oh yeah, no, don't worry about it. Your ex already did this, that, and the other, or we've already got that, or we've got this, or you don't even need that so always keep your appointment and call as soon as possible. So, let's see, Ralph. It just amazes me, with so many starving people in this country, we're spending $300 million on a ballroom that will never be used. Yeah. They might, not sure. Yeah, but the fact that, even if it is used, is it going to be used as a homeless shelter? Yeah, I don't think so. When I called Chapter today, it was a 3-hour wait for help. Yeah, it's crazy. We're still on, was it the 23rd? So we're 8 days into the annual enrollment period. So it's worth the wait. They're open again. Maybe try calling later at night, because probably people don't realize that they're open on Monday through Friday. Looking at the hours they gave me, that they're open until 10 o'clock East Coast time. So I bet you if you call them at 8 or 9 o'clock East Coast time, I bet you, Stephen, you'll be able to get in today. But if you're not able to get in, remember, you still got plenty of time. You've got until December 7th. Don't wait till the last day, obviously. But if you just want to get it out, that might be a good idea. But if you're still having issues, email me and let me know, and I'll make sure somebody reaches out to you. So, let's see. I met with you there, Mama. Being that I live in Vegas, most people rather come here. Yeah, Vegas. Just curious, but what is the annual maximum out of pocket for Medicare Part B? The maximum out of pocket. There is no maximum. Yeah, there is no maximum for Part B. Because if you just have Part B, you just have Part A and Part B, and you go and get some super experimental thing and it costs $1 billion, then you have to pay 20%. So there is no max. You pay 20% of however much it costs. So let's see what else. No, he's not paying out of pocket. There are wealthy donors who have contributed to his reconstruction. Yeah. So let's see. We need to get the billionaires out of government Oklahoma. All right. I went to a high school right across the border from Oklahoma. Our town was dry, and so we would have to go across the Red River to get alcohol when I was 14, 15, 16 years old or something. So I'm not going to talk bad about Oklahoma since you made my high school years very, very good. But billionaires need to get out of all government and it needs to be run. If, billionaires make up the majority of the population under democracy, then that's fine. But I don't think they do. One thing I do know, once they decide how much they're going to put extra in our check, the same time the Part B medical premiums will go up, and in most cases, yes. There is a provision, a hold harmless provision that's kicked in a couple of times over the last couple of decades. It says that if the Medicare Part B premium goes up higher than what the COLA does, then you will be held harmless. You won't lose money. So let's say you have to pay an extra $20 for Medicare Part B, but you only get $10 COLA increase. So you're losing $10. So they give you that $10 as kind of a credit. So that's kicked in a few times over the last 20 years, I think about twice. Yeah, but that's no consolation. Even if, you know, you don't lose money, you're losing money because inflation, because of the prices of everything's gone up. So, all right, I've got 4 questions here, video questions. Let's see what we got. I think I already answered 1 or 2.
Good evening. Thank you so much for your help, your assistance. When enrolling for the very first time for Medicare, what documents are necessary? And also, may I ask if a person has CHAMP VA, can that be used in place of a supplement? Thank you.
Okay, 2 good questions. So you're signing up for Medicare. If you're already receiving Social Security benefits, retirement benefits, survivor benefits, spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, if you're already receiving a check, then you pretty much don't have to do anything. About 100 days before you turn 65, Medicare will send you your card and your packet and everything in the mail, so you're good. You don't need anything. If you're not receiving monthly benefits, then you actually have to file for Part A, Part B, or Part A alone and whatever, before you turn 65. And at that time, you just need, you may or may not need your birth certificate. If you were born in the United States and everything is 100% correct, then you don't need your birth certificate, need your ID, and legal status in this country. If you're not in the country legally, I'm just telling everybody, people think, oh yeah, people get Medicare, they're not, no, you can't. Social Security. I did a video about a month ago, and I talked about all the ways Social Security prevents people that are not in this country legally from getting SSI and SSDI and retirement. And people are like, oh my gosh, y'all go through so many hoops. So yeah, yeah, that's pretty much what you need. And in terms of CHAMP VA, so you are a dependent family member of a veteran, so you're getting health insurance through the VA, and so no, you don't need anything, particularly a Medicare supplement. You definitely don't need a Medicare supplement plan, because that's going to cost you, extra $80, $100, $120 a month, one of those Plan N or Plan G. A Medicare Advantage plan are, the 0 premium plans, but you've got CHAMP VA. So some people get a Medicare Advantage, but I wouldn't recommend it. You'll have Part A, Part B. You do have to sign up for Part A, Part B. That's a requirement to get CHAMP VA. So you get Part A, Part B, and you got CHAMP VA, and you're good. Just go on with your life and help those around you.
Oh. I'm Ken from Schaumburg, Illinois. My question is, I am paying federal tax on my Social Security. With the new changes with the taxes, will I get that money back that I have paid in this year? Thank you.
Yeah, so that's the question I answered earlier. No. Yeah. The president keeps saying that he passed no tax on Social Security. That is 100% inaccurate. That is not accurate. If you're paying taxes on Social Security, but about half of people don't even pay taxes into Social Security. If Social Security is essentially your only income, and you don't have any other, part-time job or anything that, earns a little bit more, then yeah, most people, about a half people or so don't even pay taxes on Social Security because their income isn't high enough. But if you have higher income because you have other income or whatever the case may be, then you just might pay. But you'll still pay. Yeah, that did not pass. You might get a deduction of $6,000 or $12,000 if you're married, but you'll still pay.
Hi, Dr. Ed. Bruce Hill from Chicago. Just to follow up that I did receive a call from a chapter yesterday after contacting you. And after spending 3 days of back and forth with the provider and my supplemental insurance company, chapter called me back this morning and told me the issue was taken care of with our billing with their billing department, and they did a great job. Just to let you know. Have a great day, and thanks very much for following up.
All right, good deal, good deal. I like it. So yeah, this is, we're gonna have to tighten our belts and battle everything that we can. So that's why the 24help.org is out there to crowdsource help, and people in your community are going to be able to help you navigate Medicare, Medicaid, all the rest of it. And also the most important thing is to be there and, be there for people. AI and all that stuff is great, but, we need human beings back into the process. And Chapter does the part of fighting the Medicare companies for you. So I appreciate the awesome service they're doing for us. Last question.
Hello, I am trying to find out if you are receiving SSI and SSDI and apply for divorce benefits with the Social Security Administration. Will it affect either part of your benefits, or will it terminate your SSI and your Medicaid benefits?
Okay, so those are a lot of different questions in there. So if someone is receiving SSI and SSDI, which is possible, because SSI, the max you can get is $967. So let's say this young lady is receiving SSDI on her own work record, but it's only $500. And she's got low income, low resources, so she's eligible for SSI, disabled SSI, and the max you can get is $967, but one offsets the other. So she'll get $500 from SSDI and $467 from SSI, okay? And because she's receiving SSI, she's what's called categorically eligible. So she's eligible for Medicaid. So she's getting Medicaid. So if she gets any other benefits, will that stop her SSI or her Medicaid? Possibly. But because you're receiving SSI, if you're eligible for any other benefits, you have to file for those other benefits, because remember I mentioned the SSI comes from general taxation, and so Social Security's job is to take care of taxes, to make sure, everything is done correctly. So if you're eligible for, let's say, $2,000 a month from spouse benefits or surviving spouse benefits or whatever, you have to file for that benefit when you're eligible. So if you receive $2,000, then you will actually continue to get your $500 from your SSDI. You'll lose your SSI, and you'll get another $1,500 from surviving spouse. So $1,500 plus $500, so you'll get the $2,000. And then if you get $2,000 a month, then you have to report that to Medicaid, depending on your state. In most states, if you're getting $2,000 a month, then you're probably going to lose your Medicaid, unfortunately. But you have to file. If you're eligible for any other benefits and you're receiving SSI, this is only for SSI, you have to file for those other benefits. If you don't, and you say, well, I don't want this to happen, that to happen, I understand. But if they find out 6 months down the line, a year down the line, that says, hey, you were eligible for $2,000 for survivor benefits, then there's going to be, overpayments, and it's going to be a nightmare. So this is one of those things you just have to rip the Band-Aid off fast. So, And then if you got any follow up on that, yeah, let me know. Somebody called chapter at 9 a.m. on Sunday and got right in. All right, good deal. Good deal. All right, let me get one or two more questions and then we'll call it a day. Let me see if I can find someone that I don't recognize. How certain is it that Social Security retirement benefits will be reduced by 23% in 87 months? This is really making me consider beginning benefits at 62. Yeah, a lot of people are using that. As of right now, that is the Social Security Trustees report that came out that says the trust fund is, we are using the trust fund right now. If you're receiving Social Security benefits, about 10% of your Social Security check comes from the trust fund, comes from savings that baby boomers put away since the 1980s. And just as any savings, they run out. And so they're going to run out in 87 more checks. And then by law, Social Security can only pay out what they get in. So like in 2024, they received $1.2 trillion coming in from FICA taxes, payroll taxes, interest, because we do get interest on that trust fund, and then taxation of benefits. So yeah, 1.2 trillion came in, and if so let's say when you turn 62 in let's say 4 or 5 or 6 years, if at that time, let's say 1.2 trillion comes in, but there is 1.8 trillion of obligations, that means they're going to have to cut 23%, or at that time 30% or 18% or whatever the case may be. But as of right now, the Social Security Trustees report, the Congressional Budget Office, everybody says it's a guarantee. And why? Because these guys won't do anything. And this administration doesn't have a plan. They're not doing anything to fix it. The previous administration, Biden administration, didn't. The previous Trump administration didn't do anything to fix it. The Clinton administration, the Bush administration, the Obama administration, the other Bush, yeah, for 40 years they have done nothing. So that's the situation we're in. So, and it's not broken. This is how it's planned. They are waiting until we have 7 checks left. And they're like, yeah, we tried nothing and we're all out of ideas. So I guess we're just going to have to give everything to Wall Street and let them figure it out, because we don't know what we're doing. Well, that we know what we're doing. That was the intent all the time. So anyway. All righty. I think that's it for today. I apologize if I didn't get to your question. I'll be back again tomorrow, and hopefully the COLA will come out next tomorrow, and I'll talk about the COLA and all the repercussions of the COLA, and I'll give you the deep dive on COLA and all of the other numbers if they come out. But if not, then I'll come up with another topic and do a live Q&A for the rest of the time. And so yeah, please take care of each other. Check out the new website, 24help.org. Y'all are testers. So if something doesn't work, let me know. Email me at ed@mygovexpert.com. They should have the feedback thing fixed today, hopefully. But yeah, this is y'all's website. This is what we want you to use. Put life and heart and your soul into it to help as many people in your particular area. So yeah, I appreciate it. All right, y'all have an awesome night, and please take care of each other. Bye-bye.